Ladies and gentlemen, it is the time of the year again. It is time for lists. It is List Week 2021. I've been doing this ever since 2017. I am doing lists at the end of every single year once again. This year I'm doing it a little bit earlier because about 9 days later I'm going to have to leave Hong Kong. So I actually want to finish all the list videos before I leave so that when I arrive at the USA, I don't really have to film any YouTube videos. So, anyways, let's begin our first list of all the lists that we have to do at the end of every year. And that would be the most unimportant list. Top 10 worst days of 2021. Alright, so I'm gonna be honest here. 2021 isn't even that bad of a year. I mean, yeah, it's not great, but it's also not that bad. For the most part, for me anyways, 2021 is just boring. I am locked in my bedroom doing online college, doing homework, filming YouTube videos, listening to music, watching movies all by myself. I am pretty much alone for the most part in the year. Seeing my friends and having lunch and dinner outside of my apartment is a rare occasion. So yeah, 2021 is very uneventful, and there aren't a lot of great days, nor are there a lot of bad days. So I can't even name 10 bad days in 2021, let alone 10 terrible days. But still, after a lot of research, I managed to find what is, in my opinion, 10 worst days of the year. So here we go. At number 10, we have August 9th. And for every single day, I'm going to give it a title because I'm bad with numbers. I can't really remember a date if it's like numbers. So every single day has, or more like every few days have a title. So there is that. But August 9th, lest our bones turn to dust. Damn. So yeah, it's not really that bad of a day, to be honest. Originally on this day, I and my cousin planned to watch The Suicide Squad alongside with my brother. We went to the cinema. We were almost late, and just as we were going into the cinema, the guy who's guarding the cinema, the bouncer, the checker, they checked our tickets, and they also checked if we were 18 years old or above or not, because the Suicide Squad is R-rated and only people who are above 18 can watch the movie. So because my cousin and my brother aren't 18 yet, they can't watch the movie, and I can because I'm already like 18 at that point, but they can't. So I can't just abandon them too, right? So yeah, it's not that bad. It's just that this situation put me in a bit of an awkward situation, and after that, I didn't panic or anything. I called my mom, and someone at the counter told me that it's possible to change the tickets. So instead of watching The Suicide Squad, we decided to exchange the tickets for Old by M. Night Shyamalan. So we watched that instead. And Old isn't R-rated, so we can all see, I guess. At number 9, I'm giving it to September 17th. Welcome to the end. And again, this day isn't really all that bad, but one thing happened on that day that really, really pissed me off. And that is during dinner, my mom wasn't home, and usually my mom would cook dinner. And if it's not my mom, we would just eat outside. But on that day, there are some leftover food, and my dad, my younger brother, and I are in the apartment, and usually I don't eat dinner that early. I usually eat dinner at around 7:30 or sometimes even 8 p.m. depending on how much work do I have to complete on that day. And on September 17th, when I went to outside of my bedroom to have dinner, I walked outside to find out that all the food is gone. My brother and my dad had eaten them all, and all there is left are like 3 pieces of vegetables and like 16 strands of fucking noodles. So yeah, that was really irritating, but it wasn't the end of the world because there is rice, but it's raw rice, so I have to cook them myself. And I'm okay, this is gonna come as a bit of a shocker, okay? But I'm gonna be honest here. I don't cook rice very often. So on that day, I kind of went in blind. You know what? Screw it. I'm pissed. I don't have food. I need to have dinner. And you know what? This would be a great opportunity for me to experiment with rice. So I grabbed 2 cups of rice, put them in a rice cooker, washed them, filled it with water up to a certain point, steamed it, cooked it, ate it, and it was fine. It was fine rice. You know, it wasn't great. There were some hard bits. There were some bits that were a little too soft, and I overestimated how much the rice would fluff up. But still, I cooked rice on that day, so at least there's something happy. There's something optimistic about this. At number 8, I'm giving it to a very, very special day, and that is August 14th. Sisyphus. And normally a day this bad would end up in my number 2 or even number 1 spot on this list. But the reason why it's so low on this list is because I actually secretly enjoy it. But essentially what happened on this day is that my mom's company is holding this overnight camping activity where all the important staff members of my mom's company will all go to this camping site, also in Hong Kong. We're not going into another country just to go camping. This camping site, we're going to stay there for one night. We're going to hang out, have barbecue, cool stuff. And of course, my mom's leaving, and she's also taking me and my brother with her, and then my cousins are also going because my cousin's mom, my aunt, is also part of the company, so we all went there. And yeah, it was swell, it was fun, but there were issues, okay? There were issues. First of all, I had a really, really painful toe on that day and in that week. I thought I had an ingrown toenail when in fact I actually didn't, but at that point I thought I had one, and it was really, really freaking painful. And on top of that, even though I had a very painful toe, I still went rock climbing because a lot of the staff members of that company went rock climbing in that camping site, and my cousins also went rock climbing. And before that day, my cousins went surf I forgot what's the name of that sport. Surfboarding, wake surfing, right? So they went wake surfing twice. I went once, they went twice. And for the second time, it is only a few days before August 14th. So my brother and my cousins were all very sunburnt and tired, while I had a painful toe. But my cousins went rock climbing anyways, and they were actually good at it. And of course, I suck at it because I suck at everything, am I right? But nonetheless, I decided to man up, stand up for myself, and go rock climbing. And it was bad. It was terrible. It was way worse than I thought it would be. You know, before climbing the rock, I already know it's gonna be bad, but it's even worse. However, I still managed to climb up to the very top and then go back down. So at least I had the courage. Finally, at the end of the day, all the adults partied in a room while me, my brother, and my cousins sit at a corner awkwardly playing cards. And I sucked at playing cards. People always think of me as this smart boy. Well, guess what? I'm fucking stupid. So I lost a lot of rounds of cards, and to top that off, I forgot to bring a toothbrush and toothpaste to the campsite because I thought my mom would bring them, but of course I'm already an 18-year-old. Why would my mom bring them to me? I'm an idiot, I know. So I left that party room, went back to my own room, and then I decided to go back to the party room to ask my mom if she had brought my toothbrush and my toothpaste. Problem is, my mom was piss drunk. Basically, every single person in that room were absolutely shit-faced, were absolutely drunk. So on top of that, I entered that room and I interfered with adults. So as punishment for me and my cousins, Me and my elder cousin had to down a cup of sake while the younger cousin had to do 10 push-ups in front of everybody, which is very embarrassing for him, but there's that. And on top of that, on that night, somehow I got a cut here, which is very painful, and I had a terrible sleep. I didn't sleep a lot, and I woke up constantly in the middle of the night. So yeah, terrible day, absolutely awful. But the reason why I didn't put this up higher on the list is simply because, you know what? Even though it is awful, at least I had fun. At least this is a memorable experience, and at least this day is a testament to my courage in climbing rocks and drinking sake. So there's that. Anyways, at number 7, it is October 2nd's Walking Ghosts, Sleeping Death. And another very special day because I returned to the school all by myself on that day in order to retrieve the money I paid for the graduation dinner, which was fucking canceled, and also received the graduation book. And on that day, I decided that it would be a good idea for me to do this salute where I buy a lemon tea drink, stand in front of the school, and salute to the school, which sounds like a really dumb idea, but if you are in my shoes, you would know that this school means a lot to me. The people in this school have changed me completely. I wouldn't be here like this. I wouldn't be talking like this right now if it weren't for this school. So this school is really important to me. It is a sacred place. So I wanted to do a salute for the school before I leave Hong Kong. And I actually did, and I actually cried. And it wasn't like a small cry, it was a ugly cry. That being said though, even though this is sad, miserable, and pathetic, what I like about this is that it was cathartic. You know, I feel like my emotions were released into the wild. And I'm happy that I cried. I'm happy that I did this salute thing, and I don't regret it. And I never will. So my definition of what a bad day is has changed throughout the years, because nowadays when I feel sad, I don't feel bad. Sometimes sadness is good, you know? Anyways, okay, number 6, I'm giving it to a period of time between November 22nd and November 25th, like a blade. Throughout the year, there has been many instances when I had to wait outside of my bathroom and wait for my dad to come out of the bathroom. And sometimes I would only wait for 1 minute, sometimes 5 minutes, sometimes half an hour, sometimes 2 fucking hours. And for some goddamn reason, there are so many of these instances during this period of time. I had to wait for my dad to come out of the bathroom almost every single day, and it was terrible. And on top of that, when I tried to use the shower head, the metal coating, the metallic coating of that shower head was broken, and some bits of the coating were poked out. I touched it, and the metallic coating stabbed into my finger and was buried really deep. So after waiting for my dad to come out of the bathroom for 1 hour and 20 minutes, I subsequently spent an entire hour, I'm not even kidding, an entire hour inside the bathroom in front of the mirror trying to use a splinter, not really a splinter, trying to use a needle to dig out the piece of metal inside of my finger, which is now gone, happily. But, yep, that sucked. But that's not the end of the story. On November 25th, I used the shower again, and the same thing happened to me again, in the same finger, because I use the shower a lot, and you know, every time I hold a piece of object nowadays, I always do it in the same posture because of muscle memory, right? So I hold the shower the same way again, and there's metal stabbing my finger again. This time the metal didn't go in, but I had a pretty nasty cut on my finger, which is terrible, and it took about 3 days to heal. And when I had the cut, I panicked a little bit, and my right shoulder hit the cabinet door, and my left elbow hit the corridor door handle, and it was a fucking mess. Alright, for number 5, I'm giving it to July 31st, The Somnambulists. Now, yeah, this day is probably the day that I raged the most, I think, maybe. But yeah, I remember this day as a pretty enraging and infuriating day, even though I had an amazing dinner. It was really, really great. But yeah, it was bad because we were in a hurry. Me and my family were in a hurry to leave the apartment, and at that point, I was really close to the deadline to an essay that I had to do for English 2, which is English literature course, and the essay was really really confusing. But also at the same time, I had to edit a couple reviews for YouTube, and I just didn't have time. And the editing software suck ass. And it's not really Adobe's fault, but it's rather the PC's fault. The PC in the other room is terrible. It's on its deathbed right now, and every time I move the mouse for 1 cm, it just glitches and freezes for another half an hour. It is absolutely terrible, and the PC is dying. Alright, at number 4, I'm giving it to October 22nd to 23rd. Today, I wrote nothing. So on October 22nd, we had to do a passport because my passport is going to expire, and given the fact that I'm going to leave Hong Kong very soon, of course we had to make a new passport. So my mom booked a time slot at the immigration tower in Hong Kong so that me and my mom would go there on that day to make the new passport. And of course the time is very early, and usually I don't wake up this early, so by the time I arrived I was really freaking late. But on top of that, for some reason my fingerprints are really wrinkly and shallow, so voice crack. So when I had to put my thumbprint down at the scanning thing to scan my fingerprint, it failed again and 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 again. So much so that the staff people there got a little impatient, just grabbed my thumb and started to mash it onto the scanner. And at some point it finally worked, and I finally got to make the passport. But yeah, that was annoying. And then, I mean, yeah, that's a bad day, but it's not bad enough to end up on this list until we have the next day, which is actually even worse. There was a very unpleasant morning. My mom is really mean to me for some reason, and then afterwards I went for an adventure to Pengsan, which is really far away from Hong Kong, which is cool. You know, I enjoy my adventure there. But what happened is that on the very same day, there is an open day. Now, I don't know if American schools have this or not, but in Hong Kong, usually secondary schools have open days where every single year there will be a day where the school is open for everyone to visit and to just check out the school. And it's usually open for the moms and dads of primary school students, as well as primary school students themselves, to enter the school and consider options. And yeah, I thought I wouldn't go there because I thought nobody would go there, but turns out Natalie, a friend of mine, went there. So at that point, when I learned that Natalie went there, I was already halfway to Pengsan, which is all the way in the northwest of Hong Kong, which is super friggin' far away because my home right now, I'm at the southeast of Hong Kong. Pengsan is at the northwest. I had to literally cross the entire Hong Kong just to get to that point. And yeah, I was disappointed. I was actually disappointed. And yeah, on top of that, my pajamas got dirty, which is very annoying, and my dad's in the bathroom again. At number 3, I'm giving it to November 5th, State of Shadows. And those of you who follow me closely would know that I've recently put out my November Part 1 Thoughts Update video on my second channel, and I raged for 24 minutes straight on that video because of that one incident. Well, here it is. So what happened on November 5th is that I only got 4 hours of sleep. I'm really sleepy, I'm really tired, and I couldn't fall asleep until 6 a.m. for some magical reason. And on that day, I had to go to an office in Mongkok to do a rehearsal. So I'm about to leave Hong Kong very soon, and to leave Hong Kong, you would need a visa, a student visa, because I'm leaving Hong Kong to the USA to study there. So I need a an American student visa, and to do that, I need to do an interview. Except I can't just walk into the interview like some idiot and answer questions however I like, because that would totally ruin my chances of getting the visa. So the woman who hooked me up between me and the college that I'm studying right now, who works at a company, uh, wanted to help me, wanted to do a rehearsal with me, an interview rehearsal. And she basically does these rehearsals with all her clients. So I went all the way to Mongkok to do this rehearsal, to do this interview rehearsal with her. First of all, I was late and it was embarrassing, but that isn't even what makes this rehearsal so fucking disastrous. It was the fact that I was extremely tired and I was super underprepared to a point where the woman was clearly getting impatient and angry with me. And yeah, I actually, like, thinking back, I don't really know why was I that angry. I mean, yeah, it was frustrating, but it wasn't really that infuriating, but for some reason I just got super fucking angry on that day. I came back home and I raged for 24 minutes straight, and it was terrible, and it does not feel good. It does not feel good. The upside to that is that I did the interview in the American Embassy, and it was at least 200 times easier than the rehearsal, and I got the visa approved for me within 2 days. So yeah, I'm fucking leaving, bitch. At number 2, my second worst day of the year, it's March 13th, and my lazy eye. And that's because Mary has a boyfriend. Again, my definition of what a bad day is has changed throughout the years. Usually, if a day is jam packed with terrible situations and terrible things happening to me, they would easily be worst days. But nowadays, when I think of bad, I don't necessarily think of things like sadness, but I think of things like loss and grief, things that impact me on an emotional level. And that is exactly what this day is to me. Mary has a boyfriend. Full stop. Simple as that. And it's enough to I won't say it broke me, because when I checked Instagram and I looked at Mary's Instagram stories and I saw her holding a hand, and it's clearly a hand of a man, so she's clearly dating someone. At first I was like, oh, okay, Mary has a boyfriend. Sure, of course, duh. I mean, totally expected. Yep. I'm fine, yeah. And then a few hours later, I'm fucking broken. And reasonably so. And I'm sure a lot of people, and I'm sure a lot of you have experienced this before too. Or maybe you don't. Maybe you're just that much of a fucking Chad, right? Every single person you love, you just manage to get along with and date. But reality is often more cruel and disappointing and more depressing than that, especially for someone as socially awkward and as much of a failure like me. Yeah, seeing Mary date someone is brutal. It took a toll on me emotionally. And it took me a while to really get past this, to accept this and get past this. At that point, all I really needed to is to talk to people about this, which doesn't really help the situation, but at least it makes me feel better. But what I want to say is that yeah, I'll probably never speak to or even see Mary again in my life, which is very sad because Mary's a very important person in my life. But you know what? If Mary's feeling happy, good for her. And that's all I want to say. It's a shame that Mary went on to someone else, and I and Mary had never even been friends in the first place. We were strangers. So, you know what? That, I guess, makes me feel less bad. But that's not real how love works. So, yeah, pain, I guess. But that is only the second worst day of the year, because to put this day as my worst day of the year is to fully accept that Mary constitutes my whole life. And even though I really, really admire and respect Mary, even though Mary is, in my opinion, a fantastic, interesting person, I must admit, even if I don't want to, I must admit that the world is so much more than Mary. Thus, my worst day of the year is November 31st to December 3rd, which isn't even that long ago. This noise is endless. Now, in comparison with other terrible days I've mentioned in other top 10 worst days video, this day isn't even all that bad, or these 4 days aren't even all that bad. But the thing is, during this period of time, I was really, and I still am, really, really conscious of the fact that I'm about to leave Hong Kong. This is why I planned literally every single thing. Nothing can go wrong. Like, there are still a bunch of places I have to go. I still have to pack. I still have to prepare for my final exam. I still have this to do. I still have that to do. I want to eat this food. I want to drink that thing. I want to just enjoy my final days in Hong Kong. But for some reason, between November 31st and December 3rd, it's basically a series of unfortunate events. First of all, I had been cut on this finger for 3 times already at this point. But on November 31st, I cut myself on the finger again for the 4th time. You have got to be fucking kidding me. The last 4 times I have had an injury, it's this finger, and it's this section only this section. I never injure myself at any other point in my body, only this. And this time it's not even the shower head, it is an acrylic USB who fell into the ground like 5 times, and the floor of my bedroom and of the whole house, of the whole apartment, is marble. It's a marble floor, so of course the USB shattered, and for some reason, I was an idiot, I guess, I picked up the shattered acrylic, and I was like, oh wait, I shouldn't use my bare hands. Maybe it's gonna cut me. And I looked at my finger. So yeah, I got a cut. And it's not here, it's up here this time. Actually, exactly right here. And that is a huge problem, because I use the mouse for my laptop all the time, and for the PC too. And to use that, I had to use my finger to left click, and it's always at this point. So, yeah, that fucking sucked. And on top of that, on December 2nd, I decided to go out for an adventure again. This time I went to Jimsajou, which is a neat place, and I had fun there. But what happened is that at the end of the day, the MTR suddenly shut down. The MTR shut down, and that's because a door in the MTR, a train door, was knocked off for some reason. So literally the entire train was paralyzed. So what happened was that at Wanchai Station, everyone was told to leave. And at that point, I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I just followed the crowd. So I thought, okay, the MTR shut down. I'm going to take a bus. So I walked all the way to the bus stop, and there were like 300 people there. Or maybe even more, I don't know. But I stood at that bus stop and waited for 40 minutes until I was able to get onto that bus. And by the time I get home, it was already like 9 o'clock or 9:30. And I had dinner very late, and I didn't have time to do anything else. But the real punch to my face is that on December 4th, there is the graduation ceremony. And this was totally unexpected, because I thought that October 2nd would be the last chance I ever have in my life to go back to the school. But turns out there was a graduation ceremony, and alumni like me are invited to go back to the school to have this graduation ceremony thing, take photos and all jolly. And obviously, I had hesitations. Okay, maybe nobody's gonna go. If nobody's gonna go, and if I go there and I end up lonely and sad, then it would be pathetic and miserable. Turns out, some people are going. Some people are going. So I decided to go. And it was a huge deal because I get to wear my graduation suit, which I bought like 1.5 years ago. It was $1,200, and I never had a single chance to wear it until December 4th. So it was a huge deal for me. I combed my hair. I tried to look as nice as possible. I didn't have any acne. I trimmed my mustache, even though it wouldn't have mattered because I would be wearing a mask. But I got everything prepared, and on December 3rd, the day before graduation ceremony, I got a sore throat. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? This is possibly the most important day of the year, if not my life. Or at least one of the most important days. And right before so, I get a sore throat? And that's even more infuriating when you consider the fact that I don't get sick often. Like, lately, I've been really healthy for some weird reason. Maybe it's because I'm not studying in a Hong Kong university. If I study in Hong Kong University or Chinese University, Hong Kong, like, it would be tons of assignment, lots of stress. But since I'm studying in an American college, it's basically child's play. So, I sleep more, I eat more, I'm really healthy for some reason. But out of all the possible days I could get sick in the year, it had to be the day before graduation ceremony. But still, a little sickness does not bother me. I still went there and had a great time, so at least there is that. But still, November 31st to December 3rd, bad days, bad things happen to me, not cool. So yeah, I'm just gonna leave it here. I know I've said enough already. What are your worst days of the year? Comments below, let me know, and subscribe if you want more, and thanks for watching, and tomorrow I'll be doing the best days list.